video. Today I'm going to be giving you some tips on how to make your sketchbook quote-unquote more aesthetic or just overall prettier. There's nothing wrong with an ugly sketchbook. I just don't like opening my sketchbook and finding a bunch of boring graphite sketches, and then I get uninspired and demotivated. So instead I'm going to give you some tips. Disclaimer, you can use your sketchbook however you want. It's your sketchbook. This is just how I use it. So yep, that's that. Alright, let's get into it. So number one, make sure to use different mediums and experiment with different art supplies, especially paint. Painting in your sketchbook is underrated. Not enough people talk about it. It's really fun, especially when the pages buckle. No, I'm joking. That's why having thicker sketchbooks is pretty important. Like watercolor sketchbooks, they hold up probably the best, but mixed media sketchbooks work with almost all mediums, at least decently, and I usually buy mixed media sketchbooks just because I can just test out as many art supplies as I want, and they all like kind of work. But even if like it's terrible with watercolors, I'm not gonna not use watercolors. It's not gonna stop me. So yeah, you don't need super high quality sketchbooks, but make sure at least they're thick enough. But using and experimenting with different art supplies is very key, because that's what your sketchbook's for. You know, experimentation and trying new things and not being scared of failure or making anything ugly, because I know that's kind of contradicting what this video is about, but a part of making your sketchbook prettier is just letting go of that expectation that it's going to be perfect. So I don't know who needs to hear that, but just don't be afraid of making your sketchbook like perfect like the girls on Pinterest, because that's kind of not the point. So just go at it, have fun. One of the bigger things when it comes to making your sketchbook spreads look more aesthetically pleasing is composition, and I'm not an expert when it comes to composition or anything for that matter, but I do have like kind of a principle for making your sketchbook spreads look a little bit more put together, because the drawings can be ugly, sure, but we can make them give them a little makeover, spice them up, add a couple sparkles and call it a day. But the composition truly does make a difference. So one of the biggest tips I can give you is to have a variety of different like big, medium, and small drawings, especially if you draw a lot of portraits or just faces like I do. Making them all the same size definitely not going to help your case. So adding different shapes and like different sizes and alternating between bigger and smaller drawings helps a lot, and that way the bigger drawings stand out more. So you can really use that to your advantage and choose which drawings you want to stand out in a way. And I have like other tips on making the better drawings stand out, because it's really about like guiding the viewer's eye, even if you're not intending on anyone seeing your sketchbook. But there are many ways for the moment that you open the sketchbook for the viewer's eye to go right to the drawings that you're most proud of. But composition is super easy when you use squares and just rectangles. Anything with 4 sides makes your life a lot easier. Using borders and drawing your drawings like inside those different shapes helps a lot, and that way you can have like an interesting almost puzzle, and it's just an easier way to have an interesting composition, especially when the drawings break out of those borders. It just looks really cool, and it's very simple and easy to do. Speaking of borders, you can also add a border around the entire page or sketchbook spread, and it also works. I don't know why it looks so good, but it does, and it just makes it all look so much more finished. Another thing that helps a lot is adding different textures. So just scrapbooking and sticking anything and everything in your sketchbook, not only does it lift that pressure of everything has to be perfect, blah blah blah, but also you kind of make little memories and little journals and little scrapbooks, and you know, using your sketchbook as more than just a sketchbook is really fun. And adding texture to your pages just adds a lot. It like almost makes it interactive. You can feel the cardboard and the candy wrappers that you stuck in there, and you can like think back and, oh yeah, that receipt, I bought like ice cream that day or something, and you can make entire spreads dedicated on that day, almost like an art journal or something like that. So there's like many different ways you can use that, but adding different textures and sticking different things in I don't know, just makes things look cooler and also makes your sketchbook way thicker, and I like a thick sketchbook, what can I say? Also, I hoard things like trash, and I have kind of an excuse for it because then I just stick them in my sketchbook. And yes, if you heard a giant thud, that was my sketchbook falling on the floor. Also, kind of playing on that texture thing, using stickers and washi tape, oh my god, makes it a million times prettier, but also adds texture and variety, and just adding anything that isn't a part of the paper of the sketchbook already. Mwah, chef's kiss. Just looks great. I don't know. And then like making different composition and layering things and then painting over top of those things, and it's fun. It's just fun. Sticky notes, on the other hand, will be your lifesavers because they tick all the boxes. Not only are they practical because you can easily fix your mistakes, they also add texture and that whole interactiveness, especially if you leave this and then you can like lift the sticky note and see the drawing underneath. It also adds a pop of color and makes your sketchbook page way more colorful and fun, but it also adds to the composition because most sticky notes are square or rectangle shaped. So honestly, it's just all in one. So sticky notes are a very easy way to make your sketchbook pages just look a lot prettier and a lot cooler, and you don't even have to make a mistake. You can just slap on some sticky notes, figure out a nice color palette and a little composition, and then just draw over them. Easy peasy. You don't have to, spend time making mistakes. Especially if you sketch with pens. Oh my god, lifesavers. I have realized that I hate pencils. I don't know what about them, but I just use them less and less these days. Probably because they're graphite and boring and they smudge and they're gray and blah. So pens, especially colorful ones, best friends. But not all pens erase. So sticky notes will be your best friend. Now, back to that whole thing of making your favorite drawings stand out and kind of guiding your eye through the composition, through the sketchbook, blah blah blah. It's really not as complicated as I make it sound, but there are a couple ways that you can do this. First way is coloring the outside or adding like a background to the drawing, and basically like you can do different shapes. You can do like little stars or beams of light or squares and circles and literally anything, especially if the drawing is just liner and then you add a block of color behind them. It just looks so good. It makes the drawing stand out, especially if there's a lot of drawings on the page, and again, adds a pop of color, and who doesn't like color? I know I do. Another way you can do this is adding a border around your drawings. Again, adding borders around your pages also looks cool, but especially adding like a thick border of line art or other colors outside your drawings looks great. It makes them stand out. Or you could do the opposite. Instead of adding a border or a block of color behind them, you can just color those drawings in, and that way like the paper around them is just paper, and then you color them in and they stand out, and it's great. But be careful, use pens that are like dark enough, and also use colors that are light enough, because I have made that mistake before where I colored the drawing in way too dark and then you could barely see the line art, and it was not fun. So just use lighter highlighters and you can actually see the drawing. One of the best things about sketchbooks is that you can doodle in them, and sure, that's not everyone's cup of tea, but I love doodles, especially like one full spread of just like doodles in black line art. They look great, and then you can like color in some of them or add those like borders and make your favorite ones stick out. It looks so cool. But especially when you have a almost full spread, but something's missing, or you have like a few odd little crevices, slap on some stars, slap on some sparkles and some hearts, make them match the color scheme. Mwah, chef's kiss. Wonderful, amazing, beautiful. It makes me so happy. It's so pretty. Look at how adorable. I kid you not, I cannot be stopped. I add this to my thumbnails now too. It looks adorable. I add it to my art. That's how obsessed with doodles I am. Have you seen my Instagram? Almost every piece has sparkles, stars, and hearts. I can't stop. It's so fun. And it genuinely just brings me so much joy. And you can also just do other random doodles. Just let your mind be free and have some fun. I don't know. That's, again, kind of what the whole point of a sketchbook is. Also, if you do have like those little empty crevices, instead of, I don't know, adding a bunch of stars, you can draw eyes or other tiny little drawings to fill them in. Not only does it help with the whole like big, medium, small thing, because then you have like tiny little drawings to combat the bigger ones, and add a contrast, which we love a contrast, but also there's a lot you can do with that. And one of my favorite things, which is a whole tip, it's a whole bullet point, lyrics, or just writing in your sketchbook. I've done it before. I've just vented or ranted in my sketchbook because, okay, I have an excuse. My journal was empty. I mean, full. I mean, I didn't have any empty pages in my journal, and I had nowhere else to let up my emotions out, so all I did was just write in my sketchbook, and honestly, it looks really cool. You could also like stick newspapers in to like give off that effect without actually having to write your own thing, but it's very therapeutic. Just writing it all out and then having drawings next to it, it just looks cool. And writing song lyrics in your sketchbook, even just like the song titles or just like your favorite part of the song, it's so fun. And then like making art inspired by the song while listening to the song, oh my god, peak. It's like my favorite thing to do, and I love music, so it's just kind of combining two of my favorite things. So yeah, even if you're not like a big fan of like songs or music or whatever, you can just write quotes. Basically just write things in your sketchbook if you really like run out of things to draw. There's always words. One of the most important things are the color schemes, color palettes, just color in general. Now, obviously you can go with like a whole grayscale black and white situation, and like it's really fun to do that once in a while. Even I do it, but I am such a big fan of color that I can't go more than one spread without using it. So I sometimes will go like all monochrome or monochromatic or whatever, but I think the best combination is like 2 to 3 colors. Obviously you can like study the whole color wheel, you know, try, carry, blah blah blah, whatever all those names are. I forget the second I stop the YouTube tutorial that I've searched up, but color theory is really, it's complex. We don't have to talk about that. Pick 2 colors you like. Pink and orange. Actually, that might not look too good. Pink and blue, purple and blue. Just pick 2 opposite colors, like orange and blue. Oh my god, I love that color combination. I wear it, I draw it. Blue and orange? I don't know. Really hits different. But just pick 2 random or 3 random colors and then just make art with it. Or pick some of your favorite colors. I use green, orange, and yellow so much. Especially these 3 highlighters. I love them. And they're in almost every one of my pages. I'm trying not to use them every time, but they look really good and they're like my favorite colors. So, it's really fun and it looks really pretty. And color adds so much to your page, but don't overdo it. Don't add every individual color that you could possibly think of, because then it's going to be too messy. So limit yourself a little bit, because that way not only does it become a challenge, but it also just looks more cohesive altogether. Oh my god, and when you like add in washi tape and it ties in with the color scheme, it's just really good. It's just really good. But yeah, they're complicated, but you can really use them to your advantage and make spreads that are so pretty just because you used a nice, yummy color palette. And obviously, just if you really run out of options, use one of those online color palette generators. They always work and they look good. So that's pretty much all I have to say on sketchbooks or making them look prettier. There's a lot of different ways that you can use your sketchbook and that you can make your drawings look better, because honestly you can make any ugly drawing into like a pretty sketchbook spread as long as you, once again, add a bunch of sparkles and hearts and just borders and colors, and it ties the whole thing in together, and you can really like make the good ones stand out. And even if you're saying, but what if there's no good drawings, then when you've come to your last resort, when no sticky notes, no washi tape, no stickers, no painting over the drawing a million times, when none of that works, when no matter how many stars or hearts you add, when it still looks like trash, the easiest thing to do is just give up and stick the pages together. You don't have to use glue. I usually just use washi tape. That way, if I really want to, I can always just I can open the pages again and just look through my ugly drawings. But there are so many pages that I stick together. At least I'm open about it. But if you ever see my sketchbook tours, just know there's probably pages that I'm either cutting out of the video or I just literally stuck together. Because once again, I get demotivated and uninspired when I look at my ugly drawings, so I paint over them, stick things over them. So a lot of the bad drawings you don't see because I've gone in afterwards to just cover them up, or Again, I've given up and just like completely just stuck the pages together. And there's surprisingly a lot more of those than you might think. So if you ever feel bad about your sketchbook, just know we all do. But don't put that kind of pressure on yourself because, again, it's just supposed to be fun. And swatch things, paint things, draw anything that makes you feel happy. And also just plan other illustrations out in your sketchbook. That's kind of all it is about, just sketching and planning and character design, and so you can just thumbnail sketch. And that also, again, adds into the whole composition thing, because thumbnails most of the time they're squares, because pages most of the time they're squares, or I guess rectangles or whatever. So yeah, I hope you have fun on your sketchbook journey. I hope this maybe helped you at least a little bit. Honestly, most of the time I'm just winging it, and I save things in a Pinterest board and then analyze how the person did it, and then I just kind of copy it in my own way. So hopefully you kind of do the same from this video. I don't know. Again, not an expert, don't know what I'm doing. I literally stick trash and dried crumpled up leaves in my sketchbook, but we can pretend that I know what I'm doing. So yeah, alright. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm so bad at outros. I always just talk for way too long. So yeah, I guess I'll just cut it short and see you next time. Bye bye.